Melissa Cuadrado for the Department of Family and Protective Services.
Okay, Mr. Hilly.
Thomas Hill for the mother. We have an agreement. I'm ready to proceed.
Okay, Mr. Katmar.
Brian Feathers, Your Honor, we have agreement to TMC and to work services.
Okay. Ms. Mahachek.
Jennifer Mahachek, attorney for the children.
Okay, the court knows that we have CASA with us today, participating by video, as well as the mother in this case, Ms. Flores, and Mr. Feathers is participating with us. So Ms. Cuadrado, several of the attorneys announced a potential agreement in this case. Do you believe you have an agreement as to any terms?
Yes, Judge. We are in agreement as to the department being named temporary managing conservator of the children, and we are in agreement that the parents will be offered services to work during the legal case. However, I'm not sure that there's a set agreement on visitation for the mother.
Okay, we'll take up visitation here in a minute. If you'll tell me what all you, if there's anything else you believe you're agreed on, and then we'll get everyone's position on visitation.
I believe that that's and that the parents would be named temporary possessory conservators. I believe that's the nature of the agreement that we have, Judge.
Okay, and what is it the department is seeking as far as visitation for the parents?
So in a case with children of these ages, we would be seeking standard visitation, which is twice monthly for 1 hour, supervised by belong.
Okay, and is that for both parents?
Yes, that would be for both parents, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Hilly, is that your agreement with the exception of visitation?
Yes.
Okay, and what is it that your client is seeking as far as visitation, Mr. Hilly?
Weekly plates, please, and also telephone contact. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Katmar?
Your Honor, we ask that you give my client whatever you're going to give the mother.
Okay, Ms. Mahachek?
Your Honor, in response to the visitation, I've had the opportunity to view mom visiting with the 3 children at the CPS office. I found that the mom was highly appropriate and interacted well with the children. I am okay with the children having weekly visits. I think it would be beneficial to them.
Okay, Ms. Sanders, has CASA had an opportunity to meet these children yet?
I have not had a chance to meet the children, but I'm not opposed to weekly visits.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sanders. And Ms. Cuadrado, do you know what the placement currently is for the 3 children?
Yes, they are currently placed in a shelter in Gonzales County, Judge.
And are we in the process of finding them a less restrictive, more suitable placement?
I would assume so, Judge.
We would assume so. Is there anybody on that I could talk to about that?
I don't know if Ms. Green would be able to answer any questions about the search for placement, Judge.
Ms. Green, do you know anything about placement of the children?
I just know that a request is in with Belong's intake placement team to try to find a least restrictive.
And Ms. Cuadrado, as to paternity in this case, do we have paternity established? Because on my sheet I have that we have that Mr. Feathers is presumed as to 2 children and alleged as to the youngest, Aaliyah.
Yes, that is indeed the fact that he is alleged to Aaliyah, and so the department would be seeking DNA testing for Mr. Feathers and Aaliyah.
Okay, so Mr. Katmar, that's your client. Mr. Feathers have any doubt in his mind that he's the father of the children?
Mr. Feathers, did you hear the question?
Yes, sir. I actually know I'm not the father of the child. I just took her as my own.
You know you're not the father of which child, Mr. Feathers?
Of Alea.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Are y'all
Thank you, Mr.
married right now?
No, sir.
I'm sorry, what was the answer?
No, sir.
Okay. So whatever the court decides, are you willing to do DNA to prove that, Mr. Feathers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with that, I will order DNA testing between Mr. Feathers and Alea in this case to determine paternity, since it sounds like Mr. Feathers has doubts that he is, in fact, the child's father. Okay.
I mean, if Devin were to chime in on this, she
Sir,
actually knows.
We'll just wait till the DNA comes back unless there's something.
Right.
Just go ahead and go through the procedure, sir.
All right. All right.
Okay, so Ms. Flores and Mr. Feathers, I must admonish each of y'all in this case that your parental rights are subject for the restriction or even termination unless you're willing and able to provide your children with a safe environment. Do you understand that warning, Mr. Feathers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Flores, I'm sorry you'd unmuted yourself and I accidentally muted you again. Okay, Ms. Feathers, I'm sorry, Ms. Flores, do you understand that warning?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so at this time, based upon the agreements of the parties, the court does name the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of all three children that are the subject of this suit. The mother, Ms. Flores, is named as a possessor conservator of all three. Mr. Feathers is named as a possessor conservator of the oldest two. The court does order DNA testing between Mr. Feathers and Aaliyah, the youngest child, the subject to this suit. As to the visitation, the court will order weekly supervised visitation between the parents and their respective children. Our status hearing in this case will be on April 18th, 2023 at 10 a.m. Mr. Feathers and Ms. Flores, either one of y'all have any Native American heritage that you're aware of? Anyone in your family that's either eligible for membership into a Native American tribe or is currently a member of a tribe? Ms. Flores?
No.
Okay, Mr. Feathers?
No, sir.
Okay, so the court makes a finding today that based upon the testimony of the parents that none of the three children have any Native American heritage on the maternal side, and that there's no Native American heritage as to Delilah and Brian on the paternal side. Okay, any other issues or questions about the court's orders?
No, thank you.
No questions, Judge.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll see you back on April 18th, 2023. Gibson, if you can tell us your name, please.
Barbara Gibson.
Okay, Ms. Gibson, what's your relationship to TJ?
I'm her grandmother.
Okay, thank you.
Guardian.
And we also have Casa with us today, as well as an investigator and representatives from Belong with us here today. So, Ms. Corrado, have you had an opportunity to discuss this case with the parties?
Yes, Judge. Today, the department is seeking temporary managing conservatorship of TJ. It is the department's understanding that Ms. Gibson can no longer care for TJ, and TJ is currently in a hospital setting in the Austin area.
Okay. And Ms. Love, what is it that your client would like in this case, if you know?
Well, Judge, I know that when he and I talked, he was understanding of Miss Gibson's position on this, and I don't think is in opposition to it. He did mention one placement idea, but it was someone who's just 18. And then a placement that he would like to return to. However, from my discussions with Belong, I don't think that's going to be possible.
Okay, so good afternoon, Ms. Gibson.
Good afternoon.
I'm very interested, Ms. Gibson, since we just closed this case out here a few months ago, what it is that you're seeking as to Tia.
I'm seeking permanent placement with the state and giving up my rights because I can no longer handle Tia, and I think that a professional situation would be better for her.
So, Ms. Gibson, I'm kind of interested in your own words, what's happened over the last couple of months since the court closed the last case?
I tried schooling her, regular school, public school. That didn't work. They put her on homebound schooling, and that didn't work. She wouldn't do her work. They put her in a private room with a teacher and a bystander, and that didn't work. She refused to do any of her work. She refused to cooperate. At school, she was making threats towards other students, saying that she was feeling homicidal. She was saying that she was homicidal and suicidal at home. She was busting down doors to get to Kaylee, my 18-year-old special needs daughter. She was stabbing the door with a knife that she found right after I got through cooking, breaking out windows, busting holes in the walls. I mean, things have escalated to the point where I'm not able to handle her anymore.
Okay. Well, Ms. Gibson, what role would you like to play in Tia's life from this point forward, if you've thought about that?
I'm her grandmother. I'm sorry. It's a lot emotional. I'm her grandmother, and I still want to be able to contact her. I love her. She threatened to stab me and the other household members with a knife and watch us bleed out until we were dead. That was scary.
Well, Ms. Gibson, I don't think anybody, including the court at this point, wants to exclude you from Tia's life.
Okay.
I'm asking these questions so that I can, help formulate a plan as we go forward to try to help Tia.
Yeah, I understand. I just don't think that she's ever gotten the medication completely right. She was only home 6 weeks before things started happening, and they just continued getting worse until they got to this point.
Okay, so Ms. Gibson, are you in agreement with the Department of Family Protective Services making decisions for Tia at this time?
Yes, I am.
And you're agreeable to the department being named as temporary managing conservator?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, Ms. Love, any other concerns or desires that your client has that I need to hear about today before making decisions?
I don't think so, Your Honor.
Okay, so what is the plan for placement, Ms. Love?
Well, Your Honor, I don't know. I've spoken with Belong, and I've spoken with TJ. TJ did have one person other than the named aunt that he thought might be someone that might be willing to take him. My understanding is that the aunt didn't feel like she could. However, the person that he named also just got out of a facility as well, and just turned 18. I can give that name to Belong.
I don't see myself placing Tia with an 18-year-old.
And he and I had a frank discussion about why that probably was not going to be an option. The other place that he wanted to return to was the facility at which he'd been before in Brenham. But my understanding is that Belong checked with them and they do not want him to return. So,
okay, thank you, Ms. Love. So Ms. Mitchell, Ms. Sanders, if either one of y'all or both of y'all seen Tia? Ms. Mitchell, okay.
I talked to her just right before last week, and basically she said the same thing that she said to Nicole. She did want to go
Ms.
back.
Mitchell, let me go ahead and swear you in.
I'm sorry.
Okay. You sure the testimony you're going to provide in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ms. Mitchell.
I talked to her last week, and same thing that Ms. Love said. She would like to go back to the facility in Brenham. She did very well while she was there. It was a really good placement for her. She was the day I particularly called her, she was extremely agitated and very she was crying and she was very upset. We talked for about half an hour. She calmed down some, but she just is pretty fragile, I think, right now. And I also did talk to Barbara, and who has told me the situation there, and just felt like that she can't keep him anymore. It's just, I'm just very sad about it. I really am. That it didn't work out, Barbara.
I'm sad too.
Yeah. So that's all at this point, I know.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mitchell. So based upon the testimony of the witnesses today and the agreements, the court will name the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of Tia. Ms. Barbara Gibson, who was previously the sole managing conservator, is named as a possessor conservator in this case. Our status hearing is going to be on April 18th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. Again, April 18th at 9:30 a.m. Obviously, I would like Ms. Gibson to be as much of a part of Tia's life as she would like to be. I think the department can accommodate that, especially if it helps Tia get to a place where she's stable and happy. So, Ms. Love, obviously, I believe, I don't have my notes from the last case, but I'm pretty confident that I spoke to Tia at least once, if not more than that. Please remind Tia that I'm willing to talk again if she would like. Any other issues we need to address today?
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Green.
We did get notification just a little bit before this hearing about an RTC in the Richmond area that has accepted TJ for placement. So I just want to alert the court of that.
Okay, we'll make sure to talk to Ms. Love about that. Make sure she knows where it is. Obviously, it's going to be very important that Ms. Love can maintain contact with TJ.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Ms. Love, anything else? Did you know about the RTC?
I knew that they had been talking to a couple of places, but I did not know about the acceptance.
Okay. Well, then you'll have something definitely to talk about. As to the placement, obviously, I don't want TJ in any psychiatric hospital or shelter. So the fact that we can get her to another placement, I will authorize the placement change.
Okay.
Well, let's just try to get her to get TJ to a stable place. Okay, thank you, everybody. There's nothing else. You may be excused for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
And then it's 1:45.